Okay, so beginning this morning in a supported bridge pose. So as you come down onto your back body, removing any props, grab for your block or your bolster, your rolled up towel, whatever you're going to use underneath the sacrum. With the knees bent, press into the feet, lift the hips up, add the support underneath you. Again, making sure that it is not into your low back. If your block, you're using a block, is uncomfortable, take that blanket or towel and just fold it over the block, adding a little bit of cushion. So initially, let's heel toe the feet a little bit wider than your shoulders. Pigeon toe the feet so that the toes kind of come in any distance. And maybe if it's possible, bringing the knees together. So you might need to slide the feet down towards the bottom of your mat. But just beginning to open up the low area of the back, resting the full weight of the hips on whatever you're using. Beginning to feel in from the knees to the hip points, from the hip points to the shoulders, and to the back of the head resting on the mat. Here, maybe just squeeze the shoulder blades underneath you just to allow those shoulder tips to fall away. Release the jaw and the tongue. Release the space between your eyebrows and just soften the whole face down. And as you close down your eyes and you settle into this slight incline, just begin to notice your breath. Let yourself really land on your mat in your practice this morning. Maybe the hands rest on the body to receive the breath, to really feel the breath as it comes into the body, as it inflates through the ribs. Feel it with your palms. And as you let the breath go, soften the whole body to the mat. So a couple breaths here on your own. Expanding, contracting. As the breath moves through you, maybe you allow the mind to trace that breath. The mind traces it in the nose, through the chest, through the ribs, to the belly, touching any place where there's any tension or tightness. And the mind traces that breath out and just watches the body again soften with the exhale. One more breath. And then we'll heel toe the feet back to center. Draw the right knee into the chest. As you draw the right knee in, again, the hips are elevated. So as you squeeze it in, let the lower back roll up with you. And then release the right foot down and draw the left knee in, noticing if there's more space on this side to draw it in, or if it's a little bit tighter. And same thing, as you hug it in, as you hug that shin and that thigh in close, let the hips roll a little bit up, getting a stretch into the low back. And then release that. Maybe bring your arms overhead, holding onto your wrist. Maybe cactus the arms, just beginning to get a little bit of a spread through the chest. And we'll lift both legs up to the ceiling. So again, try to allow the thighs to stay right over the hip points and just begin to point and flex through the feet. A little bit of movements, flare the toes, pinch them in, get some circulation going. Like I said, it's starting at 31 here this morning, so even through all my calluses on the bottom of my feet are cold. So circle through the ankle, one way and the other. And then come back again to point, and let's hold the point, the big toe reaching for the ceiling so that you feel this slightly awkward stretch through the front of the ankles and the top of the feet. We normally, unless we walk around on our tippy toes all day, we don't get that stretch. Follow it now. Exhale, draw the belly in, lift the heels, toes point down towards the face. Again, flare the toes. So again, the heels are up. We activate through the back of the ankle, the Achilles, the back of the calves, even the muscles along the shins kick in here. And then point one more time. So we could do this really fast and we could miss all of the action in the legs that it takes just to circle, to point and flex, and even to spread the toes. Bring the legs back together. So the heels, the knees come together, flex the feet. We'll move with some breath now. So on the inhale, draw the belly in, point the toes, extend the legs right and left, coming into a big wide V. Pause there. Draw the belly in, and as slow as you can, flex the feet now, heels point on a diagonal, draw the legs back together. So point, exhale all the air, legs go right and left. Let the weight of the legs, gravity, bring them to whatever distance. The body's not going to let you overstretch unless you force it, right? Flex the feet, draw them back together. Take 5 more, mindfully, on your own. As you come into your 5th one, we're going to hold the legs wide. Flexing through the feet, toes flared. Take a moment to just notice your upper body here, from the belly button up through the chest, the shoulders, the head, the face. No work, no wasted energy. So just beginning to feel into the inner thighs, the outer hips. We're going to rotate this wide V front to back. So the right leg's going to kind of float over the head as the left leg goes towards the back of your mat. So kind of making a half circle here. Come back around, wide. Now left leg floats over the head. Good. And then take it back around, wide and circle. And know that because we are in a supported bridge position, if at any time it feels too much, you can always come flat on the back and do the same thing. So a couple more half circles through the legs. And then we'll meet again, legs wide. So again, gravity, just let the gravity here and the weight of the legs bring you to your space, and just pause. Slowly, as you flex the feet, bring the legs back together to center up the wall, up towards the ceiling. Draw the knees into the chest, both of them together. Again, the hips are elevated. Use that elevation to help you draw the knees in and curl the tailbone up. Soften the shoulders. Enjoy the stretch in the low back. Keeping the right knee in, place the left foot on the floor. So as soon as the sole of the foot hits, because we're elevated, maybe you feel into the space from the hip to the knee, that quad area, a nice stretch there. So keep that left foot planted, hug the right knee into the chest. Extend the right leg up towards the ceiling. Interlace behind that thigh and interlace like closer to the connection where the hamstring and the glute come. So closer to the top of the thigh, and draw the thigh in towards the body. And once it comes to that space, then press the thigh hard into the hands. Like you could press your hands away, but you really can't. Again, activating that psoas, that inner thigh muscle. And then release that effort and draw it in again. And then press the thigh into the hands as hard as you can. Foot is flexed. And then release the effort. Draw the right ankle across to the left thigh. Let the right knee kind of fall out to the right. Hips are level on whatever you're using under the sacrum. Shoulders are soft. Maybe a little bit of a bounce, just a tad, just to feel into the right hip joint. And then we'll counter that by drawing that knee in towards the body, in towards that left side. Just again, working through the piriformis, through the back of the glutes. And then right knee into the chest one more time, and then we're going to extend the right leg long. So you are elevated, just be mindful of that as you stretch the right leg long to bring it down to the heel. Once the heel touches, or even if it doesn't, flex the foot, send the heel away. So as you press that heel down and away, begin to bring some length to that hip flexor on the right side, the psoas. And this is not a muscle that we just want to say, okay, let's stretch you out, because you could really injure yourself. So we only take it to the point of sensation, to the point where you can feel the psoas muscle. Just pause there. Once the body knows, once the muscle system knows, the breath relaxes the body, then the psoas says, okay, maybe it is safe to get out of that fight or flight mode and into that rest and digest, and coaxing some length and some opening into the hip. 2 more breaths. And then nice and slow, draw the right foot to meet the left. Just pause for a moment, level out the hips. We'll draw the left knee in, give it a hug. Interlace around the top of that thigh. Stretch the left leg out long. Use the hands to draw the left thigh in towards the chest. And once you reach wherever that level is for you, pause there. And then press the back of that thigh into the hands hard. So you're activating all the muscles in the low pelvis, the hip flexors. Press hard, 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 then release and relax. Draw that thigh in just a little bit closer. And again, use that thigh muscle. Press it against that inside of the palms. Press, press, press. And relax. Relax everything. And draw the thigh in just a little bit more. And then we'll release, we'll draw that left ankle over to rest on the right thigh. Again, allowing that left knee to just fall away, to fall gently back towards the back of the mat. On this side, I use the inside of my finger pads to help encourage it away. So I get this nice opening through the left hip. And just pause and feel into that. And then we'll draw that knee in towards the body, over towards that right shoulder, hug it in with both hands. Again, that piriformis that runs, that muscle that runs through the glute, that actually sits on top of the sacrum. Just kind of stretch that out a little bit. Bring the knee back to center. Squeeze it in. And then nice and slow, we're going to extend the left leg long. So we're going to take our time. Once the leg extends, drop the heel down towards the mat. Again, if it doesn't make it to the mat, you can use a prop, a block down there, or just let it hover. Wherever you are, press in through that heel, flex the foot, send the heel away nice and easy as you begin to feel the stretch move through the inner thigh, through the hip flexor, the psoas. Just pause there and just feel, actually feel where that muscle comes into the front and it actually just rolls around to the back body as well. The only muscle holding up the legs to the torso. The only muscle that knows when there's danger, it senses it immediately and contracts. Here this morning, with our breath, we're just trying to tell it, relax. Release any grip, any clenching, and just find some space in a safe place, right? 2 more breaths. And then nice and slow, the left foot's going to come and meet the right. Press into both heels, lift the hips up into your bridge pose, let the weight slide to the top of the shoulders. So nothing in the throat, nothing in the back of the head. As we lift the hips, we send those knees towards the back of the mat and we begin to open from the knees to the hips, all the way through the quads and the hip flexor, from the hips through the ribs to the shoulders. Keep the knees drawn in, close together. Send them back, lift a little bit higher. And whatever you're using underneath you, just slide it out into your hands and nice and slow. Return the spine to the mat, whether you curl down or you bring it all down at one time. Once you arrive, again, pause, settle between the hip points, feel into the whole spine. Take that block. This is borrowing from Barb's yesterday because I loved it, but bring your knees in so that you can take a block, which is in your hand, into your feet, and just using your feet, take that block down to the mat. So kind of in close, because we're going to come into a reclined cobbler with our feet resting on the block. So now the block can be at whatever height that your feet can make the block get to, right? A little coordination here. Good. Bring the soles of the feet together now. Press into the heels, press into the balls of the feet. Flare the toes out towards the shins. So feet are active here, pressing in. Then take a breath in, soften through the belly, squeeze the shoulder blades under, lift the head, tuck the chin in, lengthen the neck, and then exhale, relax. Let the knees fall open again. Gravity and weight will bring them to where they need to be. And then just feel into all the feels. You should be feeling more open here now. So again, if you feel like you're trying to hold your knees up, or you're clenching in the glutes, or you're clenching to hold, lower the block or get rid of it. Let the body just pause, let the body settle on the earth. And for 2 breaths, just let the earth hold you. Deep breath in and out. Very easy now. Let's bring the knees together. Use your hands on the outside if you need to. Use those feet again. Grab that block. Bend your knees. Bring the block up so that it is in your hand, resting at the top of your mat. Beautiful. Good. Take a rock front to back. And if that doesn't feel good on your spine, just roll to one side. We're going to make our way to all fours. But because we've been elevated, this rocking and momentum, front to back, and just loosens up all the muscles resting along the spine. Good. So arriving in our all fours, again, no need to tell you, spread through the fingers, stack through the joints, scoop the belly in like you could tuck it in underneath those floating ribs. Allow the gaze to just fall straight between the hands. Tuck the toes under just again to get some circulation and activity through the feet. And also, if your knees are sensitive, of course, I'm on a pad, always pad up your knees, but also if your knees are sensitive, if you curl your toes under and rest on the balls of the feet and apply a little bit of pressure there, it takes the pressure off of the weight of the knees. So anytime that's a good option for you, remember just to curl the toes and to kind of press into the balls. So a couple cat-cows on your own. Again, we allow the breath to initiate the movement. We move slow through the spine. We give ourselves permission to stop anywhere along the line that feels good. So inhaling, tailbone, chest lifts as the belly expands towards the mat. And when you're ready for that, exhale, tailbone, chin curls in as the shoulders expand towards the ceiling. And just move nice and easy. Again, the breath leads. And at the end of the breath, as you pause, take that exhale and let the body move through the whole length of the exhale. Two more. And then we'll walk the hands back towards the knees. Toes are tucked under. Press your fingertips into the mat. Lift the hips up high towards the ceiling. And walk the fingertips back. So you're in a forward fold at the back of your mat. As you arrive in your forward fold, allow the arms and the head to just simply dangle down. Maybe a sway of the hips from right to left. Maybe holding the hips stationary, walking the hands right and left. And just noticing the difference between the upper body swaying right and left, coming back to center, and let the hips sway right and left. So maybe a little more hamstring stretch as the hips move. Maybe a little bit more of a stretch through the side body if you allow the hands to walk right and left. And then nice and easy, placing the hands on the top of the feet. Let's slide the hands to the top of the ankles, up the shins, up the kneecap, up the thighs. As we roll to stand, lift the arms out and up. I'm going to adjust the camera here again. And as the hands reach up, find that full length here in the body. Good. Maybe the gaze goes up. The right hand is going to catch the left wrist. We're going to take that left palm like we could plant it up on the ceiling, right? And once we find that extension, take it over to the right. So beginning to open up the whole left side. Maybe once you're here and you're fluid with breath, you pick up that left foot, bring it across the right ankle, pinkies touch, and then rotate the heart open, reach through the palms, find all this space. And when you're in this position, notice how this is similar to our banana pose on our back. We're on our feet, so a crescent position banana pose. Undo the feet, bring the hands back up to center, reach as far up as you can. Left hand reaches for the right wrist, right palm, like you could plant it up on the ceiling, and then take it over to the left. So elbows back, chest rotates open, breathe into those right ribs. And if you feel steady enough, pick up that right foot, cross it over the left ankle. Good. Press into that right heel. Take a full breath and take the stretch. Easy breath in, easy breath out. Returning to center, uncross the legs, reach through the hands. Take a moment here, swan dive forward. So let those arms go wide first, then hinge from the hips, straight spine. Drop the fingertips to the block or your mat. Find a halfway lift here, hands to blocks or the shins. Let that propel the chest forward, squeeze the shoulder blades back behind you, gazes straight down. If your hands are on your shins, slide them down towards your ankle, find a forward fold. And then hands placed on top of the feet, again, up the top of the ankles, the shins, the knees, the quads. Feel into your body, arms go out, arms go up. Take a cactus here just to open up the front of the shoulders. Re-extend the hands. Draw the hands to heart. And let's take a walk to the top of our mat. Again, removing any props that might be in your way. As we arrive here, reach down at your feet, the foundation to the earth here. Pick up all 10 toes. Spread them wide. And then nice and slow, just pinky toe all the way to the big toe. Slowly, each one comes down to the mat. With our hands resting in prayer, bring the head back to center. Close down the eyes. Soft knees that feel into your feet. That gentle movement, subtle. Heel to the balls of the feet, balls of the feet to the heels. The yoga phrase I love, movement and stillness. Stillness and movement. Side to side, blade edge of the foot to the inner arch. Ball of the foot to the heel. Blade edge, inner arch. And then make your way to that equal distribution of weight. 4 half sun salutations here. We'll lead the first one, I'll cue. And then the last 3, just maybe even with your eyes closed. Fluid breath, fluid movement. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Find prayer. Draw the prayer through heart center. Forward fold. Let all the air out. Halfway lift, heart strong, points ahead. Exhale, folding deeper. Maybe the hands rest to the outside of the ankles now. Roll up the outside of the calves, outside of the thighs, the hips as we reach out, as we reach up. Hands find the prayer. Maybe a standing back bend is here. And then we flow again. 3 more now on your own. Fluid breath leads fluid motion. using your own time. We'll meet in prayer Tadasana. Once you arrive in your prayer Tadasana, maybe look around for your blocks. We'll do one last lunge sequence for the psoas. So always nice to have the support of the blocks at the front of the mat. From prayer Tadasana, blink the eyes open. Again, feel into the feet and the toes and the heels and the balls of the foot. Inhale, reach the arms overhead, extend up. Swan dive, arms out to the side, straight spine, forward fold. Hands to blocks or the mat. Halfway lift, tailbone, crown of the head, find all that length. And then exhale all the air out as you fold. Plant the hands, blocks or the mat. Left foot steps all the way back. Separate the feet just a bit as you come into a runner's lunge. Drop the hips down. Send the heel back. So engage from that heel all the way through the calf, all the way through the hamstring. Press into your block so that stretch goes from the hips all the way up the spine to the crown of the head. Pause here. Draw the belly in. Chest is forward. Then drop that back knee, untuck the back toes. So sink down just a little bit more into this low lunge. Adjust the feet. Bring your focus to the left hip flexor. So maybe sometimes it helps to come out of the pose just a bit to level out those hips and then to come back into it. Now we're just not dumping into it. We're moving, we're holding, and we're feeling right into the hip flexor. Use your breath. The gaze is forward, the chest is proud. Tuck those back toes under. Lift the back heel up, any amount, any amount. And as you keep lifting it towards the glutes, allow the hips to come forward just a bit, stretching from that knee, inner thigh, quad, right into the hip flexor. So again, we're not forcing this. If it helps you to just tap the ball of the foot and come bring the heel up, take that option to just coax that area softly open. If you feel more open in your quads, you might reach back for the foot of the ankle. It's a big stretch. If you don't have it in your practice, don't take it. Just enjoy the feeling of opening the space in the front of the thigh. Return to the ball of the foot, the toes tucked under. Press into your blocks or your mat. Lift the back knee up and back to that runner's lunge. And then we're going to bend into the back knee, pop it up, maybe hop it up so that you come back to your forward fold. Let yourself hang. Upper body just dangles down, space through the spine, hips are high, knees can stay bent. Pressing into your feet, now bend your knees, draw it all the way up, out, overhead, maybe that standing back bend. And then return, extend up, swan dive, arms out to the side. Bring yourself down, forward fold, hands to blocks or the mat. Again, lift the tailbone, feel the length of the spine, head dangles. Ready for the inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins, hands to block, heart open, squeeze the shoulder blades. Fold forward, let all the air out. Ready on this side, left side. The left foot's going to step all the way back, separate the feet for stability, and then find a runner's lunge on this side. So again, just beginning to focus into that hip flexor. So as you bring yourself down, just notice where you feel this. Send that back heel away, lift the chest up, use your blocks. Take in a nice full deep breath. So again, length, heel, running up the back of the leg to the hip to the shoulders, through the neck to the crown of the head. 2 breaths. Sink a little deeper. Sink a little deeper. Then we're going to drop that right knee down and untuck the toes. So using your blocks, any level or hands on the mat. Again, press into your mat or your blocks. Draw the chest forward. Squeeze the shoulder blades back. Find the length here. And again, if it helps you to come out of the pose, to readjust the hips, come back in. And as you come back in, begin to focus on the hip flexor on this side. And just notice if it's a little more freer than the other side or a little tighter. You know your body better than anyone, so you give yourself permission to come out of it a little bit. We do not want to overstretch the psoas. Find that comfortable spot where you feel sensation. And find 3 nice full breaths. Keep the heart elevated, proud chest, right? Tuck the back toes under. And feel into the front of the right thigh. So as you're ready, maybe draw the heel off the mat, the ball of the foot up, and then maybe down. Maybe you find that space where the foot floats, where you can still feel the activity, the engagement of the quad. Send the hips forward so that you feel the engagement of the inner thigh and the hip flexor. Keep the breath fluid, so important to tell the body it's in a safe place that it can open and find space. And if you do feel, again, open on this side, just reach back for the foot or the pant leg. Draw it in just a little bit further. We'll hold for 2 more breaths wherever you are, whether the foot is floating, whether you have hold of the ankle. Find a good spot here. And then we'll gently come back to the ball of the right foot, press into your mat or your blocks, and lift the back knee. Returning to that runner's lunge. Again, the front knee is over the ankle. Allow the hips to come down and forward, chest lifts. Where do you feel this? And wherever you feel it, deep breath in and see where you can soften in. We're going to bounce, not bounce, but we're going to come off that back foot, bring the right foot forward, nice and easy. Find that forward fold. Find the halfway lift. And then find your fold. Move the blocks off to the side of the mat. Take a big step. I'm going to move to my left because that's where the screen is, to come into a wide angle forward fold. So we pigeon toe the feet just a little bit. The back is straight. The neck is right in line with the spine. So I'm almost in a half lift here without using my hands. Spine is straight. If you can spread those feet out a little bit further. Again, without losing any stability, bring the hands down to the mat, right underneath the shoulders, and then draw the belly down towards your thighs, crown of the head down towards the mat. Maybe you hold on to the ankles to use that leverage to draw down just a little bit deeper. The belly's tucked in, the spine is long. Squeeze the shoulder blades so they're not up by the ears. And let the head drop. Two more breaths. Taking one more stretch into the upper body, release those hands back to right underneath the shoulders. Keep a gentle bend into the knees so we're not hyperextending the knees. Hips are going to stay back just as they are. We're just going to walk the hands forward. Nothing shifts except for the arms and the hands. And as soon as those fingers start crawling forward, allow the chest to sink down. Allow the soft tissue under the arms, the most important place for us, to just soften and spread and stretch. Belly draws in. Maybe the fingers walk a little further. Again, let the head fall between the arms. No need to hold the head up here. Maybe there's a little more space as the body relaxes here. And then we'll walk those hands back underneath the shoulders. Bend into that right knee. Keep the left leg nice and straight. So a stretch from the right heel up through the outer ankle, through the outer calf, but at the same time, a nice stretch through the left inner thigh. Spine is straight. Inhale, brings it back to that neutral position, and then we'll take it over to the left. Again, press through that left foot. Press through the blade edge of the right foot. Keep the spine nice and long. 2 deep breaths here. And then switch. And now you take it right and left. Again, holding at any spot that feels good. And suffice it to say, I think we've stretched inner and outer thighs. Waking up the hips. Finish this round and return the hips to that neutral position. Heel toe the feet in slightly wider than your hips. Heels in, toes out. Again, use of blocks is good here if you want to bring the floor closer to you. My hands are resting on the floor, on the mat. I'm going to sit my hips back like I'm sitting in a chair. The belly drops between the inner thighs. Sink it down as far as you can. Then press into your hands, lift the hips up to the ceiling. Let the body dangle down. 4 more on your own, nice and slow, like you're sitting down. That stool is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Spine is long. And press into the hands. Raise the hips up, straighten the legs, let the head fall. 3 more. When you come into your last one, hold it here. Maybe walk the hands maybe inside the feet. See if you can sink a little more. Your elbows can help with those knees. Knees can rest on the elbow as you come down maybe a little bit further and a little bit further. And then gracefully somehow returning to your seat. Stretch the legs long in front of you. Give them a little shake. That little massage to the hip crease, the inner thigh, the outer thigh, down those quads. And squeeze down the shins. When you reach the ankles, pause there. Hold on to the ankles. Press the heels away, toes flare back towards you. And then use your hands to draw the upper body forward. Straight spine. Now, this isn't so much about the hamstrings here. It's about that space from where that hamstring connects to the glute, wraps through the glute to the low back. Send your focus to your low back as you reach the heart forward, heart to toes, not head to knees. And then bring your focus to the low back. Draw the belly in. See if you can lower the ribs to the thighs, keeping the spine long. Enjoy 5 breaths here. Each breath focusing on that low back where that piriformis muscle wraps from the hamstring through the glute to the low back. Breathe, soothe, relax here. Keeping the upper body just as it is, release the hands. Take the right hand over to the left ankle or the left blade edge of the foot, wherever you can grab on. Same thing, left arm is going to cross over the right, reach for the ankle, reach for the blade edge of the foot. Use that leverage, pull the chest forward. Now with the hands crisscrossed, bring your focus to the space between the shoulder blades. So pressing the feet, pressing the hands, drawing the chest forward, but with the crisscross, opening up through the back of the shoulders, the back of the heart space. 5 breaths here. Ribs resting on the thighs. Spine reaching from the tailbone through the crown of the head. Chest is forward. Deep fluid breaths. When you reach the 5th breath here, big breath in. On the exhale, drop the head, tuck the chin in. Exhale all the air out. Feel into, again, the outer shoulders, the shoulder blades, and now space in the back of the neck. 3 breaths. Head comes back up in line with the spine. Remove the hands. Place the hands outside of the legs by the ankles, palms flat. Very slowly now, because we've been in a very deep fold, begin to drag the hands down the legs towards the knees, towards the thighs, towards the outer hips. When they come to the outer hips, come down onto your forearms. As you arrive on your forearms, point your feet, big toes away from you, length from the big toe through the top of the foot, top of the ankle, calves and thighs. Press into your elbows. Lift the chest, let the head fall back into that shelf, that upper trapezius there, it's supported. Opening up the throat, keep pressing through the elbows as you open up the front of the shoulders, space between the shoulders. Take 3 full deep breaths. Following that last deep breath, begin to curl in through the pelvis so that the low back comes down onto the mat, moving nice and slow, moving into the mid back, the back of the ribs, moving nice and slow, allowing the shoulders to come down, and finally the back of the head. Bend the knees, take them wide to the edges of your mat. Leave that right knee pointing up towards the ceiling. Let that left knee fall in towards the center of your mat. And maybe you adjust that foot. I had to take that left foot out further than the edge of my mat because I want the left knee to allow itself to come down on its own towards the mat, stretching outer hip, outer thigh, that IT band all the way down. Belly, ribs, shoulders, face, no wasted energy, nice and soft. But slowly bring the left knee back up to point towards the ceiling, and we'll take it to the right. So again, adjusting that right foot, sliding it down, out, or around, focusing on bringing the right knee down towards the center of your mat. And again, notice sensation. Where do you feel this? Where do you feel it? Just use the breath and soften into that. One more full deep breath. And out. Right knee lifts. Left knee comes down. This time, we're going to deepen it. So find the left knee coming down towards the top of your mat. If that's enough of a stretch, that's your body telling you this is perfectly fine. A little bit deeper, maybe we pick up the right foot, bring that outside of the right ankle to rest on the outside of the left thigh. Again, weight and gravity, doing all the work. Your only job is to simply breathe. Breathe, soften, find space. One more breath here. Releasing the ankle. Left knee comes up. Again, level out the hips first. Right knee comes down to the center of the mat. Again, pausing there. Giving your permission to stay right here if it's enough. Maybe picking up the left ankle, placing it on the outside of the right thigh. Again, allow the weight to gradually deepen the stretch. There's no forcing, no clenching, no gripping. Just nature, gravity, and your own body weight. 3 breaths. And we'll slowly release that ankle. Bring both knees back up. Now just take a windshield on your own, right and left. Feel it into the movement of the low back and the spine. Releasing the hips externally, internally rotating as fast or as little as you want. Allow the arms to reach overhead, maybe holding on to elbows. Last expression of opening up the chest, the soft tissue under the arms, the shoulder joints. And slow down your windshield, knees point up towards the ceiling, heel toe the feet back to the center of the mat. Draw the knees into the chest. Release the arms to hug around the shins. Draw the knees in, let the tailbone roll up. So nice curvature into the small of the back. Taking a deep breath, draw the belly in. Hold that breath, pick up the shoulders, pick up the head. Bring your chin towards the knees. So nice big curve through the spine. Compression in the whole front of the body. So that when we release out into our final resting pose of Shavasana, as we compress the whole front body, as we release now, let the legs go long and the arms go wide. The blood flow, the prana flows right back into the limbs, into the hips, into the legs. Take a full deep breath here. Tuck those shoulder blades under, kind of tuck in the chin. Close down the eyes. If you happen to have a chair, a couch, or a coffee table near you, throw the legs, the calves, so that you're fully resting from your kneecaps to your heels, allowing the femur bone, the thighs, to relax into their hip points. Because we're kind of going to be at an angle, and if you don't have the prop for the legs, you can always bend the knees and put your blocks underneath the knees. And it's just an option. You could take traditional Shavasana, but this is just a release of those hip flexors. It's the melting of the belly, the heaviness of the hips, the release of the inner thighs. If you're using the coffee table or the chair, there's nothing to hold up. If your legs are bent, resting on blocks or your bolster, nothing to hold up. Last few minutes here. Give your weight. Give the weight of your physical, your mental, and your emotional bodies to the mat, to Mother Earth. Let the body release and relax to her support. Shavasana. I hope you have the luxury of time to spend a few moments here with yourself. Honoring yourself for coming to the mat, for becoming a better version of you, so that when you step off the mat, you can give yourself more fully to your family, your friends, and your community. Namaste, my friends.